Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now I'm a bit late with this Alliance War video. This is going to be war number 3. I already have war number 4 also recorded, even though I didn't do too much in that one. But war number 5 is about to start, so I'm going to try and catch up. I'm going to try and upload both wars number 3 and 4 today, and then war number 5 as it concludes tomorrow. Right, so here we can see ASR is up against Palo, definitely a very Masters level alliance. And let's get to it. I'm actually using Thing in Alliance War Attack for the very first time ever, for me I believe. And the reason for that is because not too long ago I actually ended up getting my Thing all the way up to SIG 200. And when it comes to taking champions with massively increased attack, there is no other champion better in game than the Thing. And I'm going to demonstrate that shortly here. Right, so the way Thing's protection works, for most part we all know, if you would take more than 300% damage than an opponent's base attack, you basically trigger protection. It's super annoying ability to face off against if you're using hard-hitting champions, but defensively it doesn't really come in handy all that often, or in average scenario it definitely wouldn't always necessarily save you. However, we do have these strike counter fury nodes where they keep getting a ton of furies, and eventually they hit so hard that any single contact with the opponent basically triggers the protection. That is where the max signature ability is super important. So you can basically reduce all of the incoming damage by, well, 100% if you have 20 rock stack challenges. So you can see I am completely ignoring strike counter. The only key element to remember to this fight is not to use the special attack, because each active rock stack that is up also increases the level of protection that I'm getting, and if I were to throw a special attack, obviously then, well, he could just basically one-shot me. So the idea is you'd never want to go below those 15 rock stacks, 15, 20 rock stacks. But past this point, we can see that, yeah, he has 29 furies, something, just taking everything on block, and we're taking no damage from him. So when it comes to that strike counter fury node, then for many of the matchups, Thing is definitely the best answer, because he's quite literally immortal. Every time the opponent would touch you, you just trigger protection, take absolutely no damage. So, the true Immortal champion, the Thing. Right, the next fight is going to be up against Mr. Negative, and this is going to be a bit easier and quicker work here. We're just going to be using Nick Fury, and that is Brute Force, Power Focus 1, whatever. If this fight goes sideways, there's still Life Model Decoy, but in between ability to trigger debuffs, in between class advantage, in between everything else, there's not going to be too much of an issue. So I'm going to go in for a full combo, finish with light, and drop his level 1, so I'm just going to block it all, why not? And let's just go. He's going to get like 1 fury here, so I'm not too worried. His health is already halfway down, so just basically should get to another level 1, and that should just about be it. So let's go, another full combo, finishing with light, trigger the big bleed. So you can see that I have 1 heavy attack, 1 light, 2 mediums, all remaining on me. A bit of that brute force damage, but you know, nothing too major. And yeah, there we go, another level 1. He has 2 furies active, still not very dangerous. Need to finish off a combo, and not even that. So Nick Fury makes an easy work of Mr. Negative. I never feel worried about Mr. Negative fight if you can counter him with like Nick Fury or Mole-Man, to be honest, as well. And here we're gonna have another strike counter fury node, and once again, SIG 200 Thing is gonna just absolutely cheese this fight. You once again, well, I will once again go absolutely immortal. So I'm going to start with parry heavy. I want to get to at least like 15 charges before I start giving him proper amount of furies, and that is going to be about it. So we do need to be somewhat careful as we're playing around at Falter. Obviously I still don't want to get hit in the face X amount of times on purpose, so I'm just going to try and play it as clean as I can. But pretty much at this point, I think nothing that I really do would damage me, maybe besides eating some level 3s, because I'm not entirely sure how it interacts with level 3. But other than that, he has 14 Furies at this point. Every single time I would get, I don't know, block damage or get hit, protection does trigger, and I take no damage. That's it. That's quite literally it here. Nothing is left to this fight. Now, obviously, Thing isn't exactly the highest damage output champion if you're not running the champion synergy. And still, he's a bit of a ramp-up champion. And even if you're not running champion synergy, once you get up to the 60 Furies, which I can do somewhat easily thanks to Human Torch synergy, you know, it just works out. You hit decent. You don't have the craziest damage output, but it's all right. And here at this point, the Professor X is, well, yeah, 13%, and things are like 95. And all of that chip damage is just whatever I got at the very beginning of the fight. So very simple. Professor X, 48 Furies by the end of it, and they matter very, very little. So that was it for my Section 1 fights. In Section 2, I don't think I have too much work here to be done. I have this Guillotine 2099, boost buff armor, Chitonius turns, and that's it. It's basically just Guillotine 2099 fight. Now, she will have a bit of damage mitigation, because whenever I crit, then that boost buff armor up is going to absorb the damage, but that's about it. So I'm going to boost up, and yeah, medium set of boost should be good enough. Let's go in, and Thing is obviously fully bleed immune, so I don't need to worry at all about Chitonius turns, taunts, and the only thing that I do need to care for is basically just play around that invisibility. So we're going to drop a heavy attack to switch that off for a while, and just slowly but surely kind of like coast to a relatively easy win there. Again, just drop a heavy attack, switch off that invisibility. Thanks to Chitonius turn, so you can see that my Rockfield charges occasionally dip down. That is because I would have a bleed inflicted upon me, but you know, no big deal there. The Spectre will unfortunately reverse my healing a bit, so I'm going to be taking a bit of damage from Spectre, but it's not the worst. And here we go. In this fight, I can actually use special attacks, so that is also kind of helpful. And yeah, Thing, once again, perfectly safe, perfectly reasonable option, just not the quickest. This fight isn't the type of fight, though, where I can consistently trigger protection, because obviously Guillotine doesn't have the infinite amount of Fury buffs, but still. Well, it works out just fine. So I'm at this point at like 57 smaller Fury passives. They still do help my damage output relatively significantly. I'm going to go for level 2. Unfortunately, the second hit did not crit. The first one did, but all the damage there was absorbed. And slowly but surely, you can see that Guillotine is at 24%, Things at 82%. Fight's perfectly under control. Need her to throw that level 2 so I can try and go in for the finish. And again, we're going to drop the heavy attack to switch off her invisibility. And then just move on. At 15%, but luckily, thanks to my Assassin Mastery, and I always run 1 point in Assassin Mastery, unless I have to take it off for something very particular. But in general, I have 1 point in Assassin's Mastery, and that actually prevented that regen this time around, so that was kind of handy. And yeah, level 2 to finish off the fight. And at this point, I actually thought the war was pretty much done for me, but it turned out that I was meant to take the Gog Boss. And this is going to be one of those times where real life clashes with whatever's needed for war. Well, first and foremost, let me say that the war was won at this point. Therefore, I wasn't too stressed about it. We had like 5, 6, something like that, death lead. We're going to see, I think, in the next post. But on the other side, I was covered in paint. And yeah. Marvel Console Champions at this point, because this fight kind of came as a surprise to me, because I didn't read it as my original assignment because it wasn't listed there. The officer had just forgotten to drop that message, or maybe I missed it again. And yeah, I will obviously still boost up as I should and put the 3-minute boost. But what I didn't do is I didn't kind of like train, practice, fight Mangog, because I have actually not fought Mangog in Alliance or like pretty much ever. And I didn't really remember his ability set, which is something that I'm going to pay for. So now that I'm boosted up and all that good stuff is going to go in, activate the pre-fight ability, and obviously because he's a Mystic Champion, in theory it's a very easy fight, and it really is. Just don't do full hit combos. Make sure you have a special ready for when he goes unstoppable. I did that, and I do want him to, like, you know, touch up on my block a bit in order to increase my smolder count, and we can see that he's already melting here. And unfortunately, I will start making stupid mistakes very early on. In pretty much any other scenario, I should have soloed this fight. Would I be able to do this fight again? I would solo it. So here, I wasted my indestructible boost because I got parried. It was unfortunate, but you know, we can still move on. And at this point, he's at 9. His rage charges, but he drops special attack. He's at 10, and I tried to block it because that was kind of like the habit that I got into, and that was unblockable. Now that's fine. Still at this point, even though he was unstoppable, I had a special attack and I got care of it. And I tried to block it again because I forgot that he is still in his rage mode, and the special attack would be unblockable. So this was literally just me lacking the practical experience, practice, or I don't know, the knowledge, I suppose, of a champion. Shitty death, shitty way to die. Definitely was not happy with myself about it, but on the bright side, I know for a fact that I can do that fight, and I would know exactly what to do next time as well. It sucks that I did die, but at the same time, that was like pretty much the final fight of the war. We had it already won. It hasn't changed anything massive for the season. Unfortunately, it still feels bad because we are currently in the 2nd place, I believe, and we are separated from the 1st place with only a handful of deaths. And I feel like I needlessly contributed to that. Now, I healed back up, went in, finished the fight very good, but obviously still quite unhappy with myself. But you know, it happens. And as I said, should I happen to have to take that fight again, I'm confident I would. Overall, as an alliance, we didn't have too great of a war either. I think it often has to do with if our opponent gives away more deaths, unfortunately, a lot of us play a lot more carelessly. And this would be one of those stupid scenarios where subconsciously, to some effect, that affected myself as well. If there would be like 1 or 2 death difference, and if this had been like a really, really tight war, I'm 100% sure I would have taken extra time to do a duel, to reread Mangog's abilities, or to tell my alliance mates that, you know, I can't fight right now because I'm, I don't know, painting and stuff like that. But I did throw that out of the window because I thought I'm just going to get it done. That was wrong. And that, unfortunately, often is quite trend as well. We can easily do 1, 0, 2 death wars, even with as many bugs as we have flying around right now. We have had like 2 death wars as an alliance. Then automatically, as soon as our opponent gives away a few more KOs, we triple our KO count or double our KO count. Kind of sucks. Anyhow, that was war number 3. At this point in the season, we are 3-0. And, well, let's hope we can keep that win streak going for ASR. And that is it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about